So what we're going to touch on mostly today is measuring those losses in the field. So I'm going to go through some examples on the newly produced Harvest Loss app. And some of the things we're looking at with doing with this was usable without a connection. So once you've downloaded it once and used it on whatever device you're using, it should be good for the season. It can depend on if your device does a cache clearing every so often, but it should be good for some time without a connection. It's going to be housed, and I'll show you when we get there, on canolacalculator.ca, and we've got quite a few tools available on canolacalculator.ca. And if you're watching this on your laptop right now and you want to go to on your phone or other device, if you go to canolacalculator.ca right now, you can actually go to the loss tools. So when we get there, you can follow through with me as well and see how it works. The other thing we need was compatible with all systems. So there are some Harvest Loss apps out there that work fine, like they're accurate. I used them in quite a few presentations, but we found the limitation was almost invariably in every presentation I had, there were some people who just it didn't work on certain devices. So the idea behind this was whether you've got a laptop, an iPad, an Android, an iPhone, whatever you've got, as long as you've got a web browser and access to the internet, you should be able to open this system up and use it. And the other thing we wanted was all crop types. So it's available for all crop types, and we'll go through that in the example. Here's the PAMI loss guide. I've handed a lot of these out in the last few years when I present, and they're still a very accurate tool. In fact, when we produced the new Harvest Loss app, the way we calibrated, or I guess checked its accuracy, was to go through the same inputs in this guide and make sure there's the same examples coming out, same answers coming out. So if you've still got these guides and you prefer paper, there's nothing wrong. They still work perfectly well. They're also available on the Canola Council website if you want to print them out. One more thing here. Yes, I'll touch on this when we're in the actual loss app, but this was produced a couple of years ago with Combine Optimization Tool. So what this is if you're having issues, you're seeing losses, you're seeing sample quality problems, you just can't get that sample clean, or productivity, you feel you're just not getting enough flow through the combine, it'll take you through a flow chart and help you, look at those examples. You're having losses and it's over the sieve. It'll go through all the different adjustments that you can make to try and reduce those losses. So just one more tool to help you adjust that combine. So now we'll go to the actual loss tool here on canolacalculator.ca. So here's the canolacalculator.ca landing page. So we've got 4 different tools on here right now, and soon there will be the plant stand survey as well coming up. So I'll just quickly touch on the 4 since we're on the page here. Seeding rate and seeding cost calculator. So this will help you determine the proper seeding rate and what the cost is of that seeding rate. So target plant stand density calculator, helping you target that proper plant stand. We really want to get away from pounds per acre seeding to shooting for a proper plant stand density. So that tool will help with that. The one we're going to look at right now is the Harvest Loss Calculator, the new tool that was just launched. And we're going to go through some examples of that. And then next to it is that combine optimization tool that I actually touched on earlier. So here we'll click on the Harvest Loss Calculator. And if you've got another device you want to follow along, that'll work great. So here you land on the landing page for the Harvest Loss tool. There's some instructions in the top left corner, as well as there's a short video. So what this short video will do is it'll help you with the actual collection of the losses. It's got producers with questions and answers showing how they collect losses. And I can touch on that shortly. There's plenty of good companies out there now who produce loss trays. If you're starting out and you want to just do it on your own, there's examples in the videos. As long as you've got a tray, either something you can throw under the combine or attached to a handle that you can flip over and catch at a loss at a certain point in time. Really anything works to collect those samples. So I don't want that to be a stumbling block if you're not ready to purchase one of the professional kits. But I would definitely say that the kits are worth it. They make it much more convenient, safer, and just make it, you're more inclined to check more often with a simple kit and one of the drop trays that are available from producers. There's additional instructions here as well. I won't go through those because that's what I'll be showing you right now. So with that, we'll go to an example. So I'll run through 3 examples here, 2 with canola and 1 with barley. So on the tool, you go to the drop-down menu here. All the different crops are in there. So we choose canola. There's imperial and metric buttons here. So that's really what that changes is your cut width, your discharge width from imperial to metric, and then your outputs, how your losses and your value of your losses are shown. So I'm going to stick with imperial because that's what most producers use now. Then there's the 3 methods, and these are the 3 we'll go through. 2 with canola will go on the weight and the volume, and then the barley will go in the end with the count method. So we'll start with the weight method. Probably the most accurate of all the methods. If you don't get that sample quite clean, it's not as big a deal with the weight method because chaff doesn't weigh much. So if you've got a bit of chaff in the sample and you're weighing it, it doesn't tend to be an issue. With a weight method, you need a scale that can measure fairly accurately a small amount. You'll see we're looking at a few grams, usually under 30 grams collection. So you need a small battery operated scale. These can be found online fairly cheap on something like Amazon or even sporting goods stores like Cabela's will sell you a reloading scale with batteries for $60 to $100 in that range. So not hard to come by. So here with that, we'll start the example. So in the weight method, first of all, we have our cut width. We'll go 35 feet for a header. So that's either your header or your swath width. Your discharge width, that's what's coming out of the back of the combine. So typically that's your sieve width. Your rotor or your walker discharge will be discharging that same width. So one of the key things to point out here is you really want to drop that straw and that chaff material to do a proper calibration on here. So that'll be your discharge width. So we're going to say 70 inches. On some machines, especially older ones, that might not be possible. Some of the chaff spreaders weren't movable, weighed a lot, and needed hoses disconnected and bolts taken out. So if you're unable to drop the straw into a row, you can still collect samples. Your discharge width will then be whatever your spread width is of the chaff and the straw. So it's not quite as accurate, and you need to do multiple samples across that spread width to make sure you're getting the proper measurement, as chaff and grain will discharge at different areas due to its different densities. So if required, it can be done, but again, the best is to drop the straw. So here we've got our 70-inch sieve collecting area. So that's the size of your collecting pan. So say we've got a pan that's 4 feet long by a foot wide. That would be 4 square feet. Estimated yield, I'm going to put in 52 bushels per acre because that's our goal for 2025 average Canola Council. Dollars per bushel. Last I saw for the fall right now, they're looking at $12.50. So we'll put that as an example. And this really just comes into the economic losses on the side. So now this is the important part. This is what you've collected in that sample. So you've collected what's come out of the back of the combine in the tray. You've cleaned the sample and you've put it on your weigh scale and weighed it, and say we've got 25 grams in that sample. So then output here, it shows us we're losing 100 pounds per acre, which is 2 bushels per acre loss. And it's 3.8% losses. And the value of that loss is $25 an acre. So we can see with this, when we talk about being under 2% losses, the losses are definitely higher than we'd like to see. And we need to make some changes, come back and see if we've dropped that seed loss at the back of the combine. So I'll do a quick touch here on the volume method. We'll go back to canola again for the volume method. So So this one, you just need something that'll measure in milliliters or cc's. So again, under 50 mils or 50 cc's is an ideal measurement. You typically won't have much more than that. So anything around the kitchen that measures in milliliters or cc's, even like an old cattle syringe, pull the top off, the plunger out. You can pour the seed in the top and get your measurement from that. So it's a little simpler. You don't require that scale, but accuracy can be a bit more difficult as chaff doesn't weigh much, but it's got a lot of volume. So if you haven't got that sample clean, you will be overestimating your losses using the volume method. One thing important with the volume method, it's handy to have a set of screens, shaker screens. You can clean that sample up much better. I also like it, touching on harvest management. If you're doing green seed rolling, it helps get you a much more accurate green seed, as a lot of those damaged seeds screen out, and you'll get a better measurement. So a set of screens is very useful for this. If you purchase the professional loss trays, they usually come with cleaning systems with them. So you'll have the ability to clean it out and do the volume measurement that way. So again, I'll just put in quick the same numbers we had before: 35 cut width, 70-inch discharge. That's my sieve width. Collecting area, 4 square feet, 52 bushels. 50, and we'll say we've collected 35 milliliters. Okay, that puts us at 1.7 bushel per acre loss, 3.3% losses. So again, we know we're over. What we'd want to do is make our adjustments, do another drop, and see if we can drop that seed loss and get under that 2% losses. One last thing, I'll touch on the barley here. So I'll reset the form, and we'll go to the count method. I'm using barley because it doesn't work very well with canola. There'd be thousands of seed to count in the count method. So what this actually is you're actually counting the seeds in that loss tray. Even with barley, there's a fairly large number. It's even a better system for something like peas or large seeds like that. So we'll go 35, 70 inches. Collecting area, 4 square feet. Bushels. I'm not really up on barley prices completely, but we'll say about 550 in seed loss. So let's say we count 275 seeds in that pan, so barley seeds. That would put us at a bushel loss and only 1.2% losses. So that's a really low loss, and we've already had to count 275 seeds. So if you don't have a way to weigh it or a volume method, you definitely can count seeds. It'll just be a bit more time consuming. So with that, I think I've gone through everything we need to on the loss here. Again, if your losses are high, you can check out the combine optimization tool to help you, make those adjustments to the combine so that we're not seeing those high losses.